Hey everybody, Joe DeGanzik here with another episode of Lighting Answers. In fact, it's our first Q&A episode, something I promised when we started the project almost a year ago. And back then there wasn't that many views happening, thus there weren't many questions and comments coming in. But over time we've built up, and now there's enough feedback coming in where I can dedicate an entire episode per month for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bounce back and forth between lighting information and home automation device information. So this month we'll do lighting stuff. Next month we'll get to some home automation questions. We'll just go back and forth. The episodes will probably be in about the middle of the month or so. And of course we're going to have more dedicated episodes coming out, more LED lighting reviews, home automation product reviews. We're going to be talking about the Apple Watch coming up. And what that means really in the wearable category for home automation and stuff, and all kinds of other good stuff coming up. So make sure to stay tuned for that. I do absolutely appreciate all your questions and comments coming in. Remember, you can send them in through comments on any of our social media or the YouTube videos themselves, or through our email address, questions@answers.lighting. And we just actually hit 20,000 total views over the weekend, so that is super amazing, and are approaching 200 subscribers. So let's get that up to 200 and let's blow past and get to 1,000 subscribers. That would be super incredible. I really thank everyone for their viewing the videos and the comments and the support and the likes. It's really fantastic to get that feedback from you, and we're going to be expanding the show to new heights coming soon. So let's get right on to the questions. So the first question, not necessarily in chronological order, but I took the top ones to put on this show. So my gig user asked, in short, what do I buy? Philips? Something else? And that prompted me to think, yes, I need to actually do another episode, a kind of an LED light bulb buying episode for 2015, as things have changed, new things have come out, and it's time to update that episode. So, but in short, I can tell you that not a lot has changed. Obviously, Cree late last year came out with their new 4-flow LED bulb that's a little bit different cooling mechanism, has a different profile, and it looks great, and it dims pretty much the same, and it uses about 1 more watt or so of power, but it's a great bulb. Philips, on the other hand, mostly the same. Their offerings are mostly the same at this point. They still have that bizarre looking slim style bulb. They still have their traditional looking LED bulb that they've stuck with their design for quite a while now, probably about 2 years or so since they introduced it. It mirrors the design of the Hue LED color changing bulb. And Philips is going to be a little bit better on the flickering part. Depending on the dimmer, you may wind up with flickering at the low end of a Cree bulb, but the Philips seems to take care of the dimming or the flickering while dimming, or just when you're, whether it's dimming or whether it's actually just at a lower level of light. They seem to take care of that pretty well on almost any dimmer, but the Philips is a little bit more expensive than the Cree. Those are the two top brands that I can recommend. Now, I use a variety of bulbs from a few different manufacturers, one of which is no longer in business, so I won't even mention it. But there are some specialty bulbs that you can get from Lowe's that are co-branded, or they're like private labeled. They're made by Feit Electric, but they're sold under a Utilitech Pro. They make tiny little bulbs that have a little candelabra base, and a few different varieties. And so you may want to check those out. They're good. They're a little more pink than warm on some of them, but overall they're pretty good. Most LED bulbs that you're going to get these days, especially if you're not using them with dimmers, are going to have a general pretty decent light output, but Cree and Philips are still two of the top brands that are out there. That's why I do continue to recommend them. But you can find GE bulbs at Target. You can find Sylvania if that's your favorite brand at Lowe's, and a couple other places. And of course you can find just about anything online, and especially through Amazon. So I'm still recommending Cree and Philips as the top tier, the no hassle, you don't have to think about it, just screw it in and it works great in most cases. Those are what I'm recommending still at this point, and I will update the buying guide probably in another month or two, sometime later this spring. So thanks for your question. question number 2, and I have to go to my notes on my trusty iPod Touch, which we use for some things here on the show. Deep Fried Fuzzball and Flatface7777, great usernames, asked kind of similar questions, so I kind of lumped them into one thing. Have you seen the LED filament light bulbs? I quite like the look of those. And he goes into a few other things and asks about them. And he's talking about LED bulbs that basically mirror the look of our traditional old incandescent light bulbs that actually have a physical filament. LEDs don't. They just have, well, just LEDs. They're the little chips and they glow. What they're trying to do with the filament bulbs is simply replicate that look. And lately, and I've seen them out, and I don't own any of them. I've seen them out in some bars and restaurants, and they look kind of cool, but they're really yellowish. They're not very gold. They're not very warm to that what you would expect from that really nice fiery glow from an incandescent, because an incandescent filament is essentially almost on fire because it is actually really glowing, and an LED is trying to replicate that, but not super great at this point. They do sell them. I really have not seen them in that many stores, to be honest. The major stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, your own favorite, like an Ace or so forth. I haven't really seen them carried. They do appear to continue to be a specialty bulb at this point. So I would look for them online. I will probably try to review a couple. At this point, I really can't give an opinion on them because A, I haven't actually personally tested them myself, and B, I haven't really been impressed by them out and about. The other thing to think about with these filament bulbs, and the next Flatface talks about them in their comment, is that a number of them that I found in doing the research just to be educated for this particular, to answer these questions, a number of them that I found are not dimmable, and specifically the ones that they mention, which actually they didn't mention in the first thing, but the ones that the users mentioned in their comments are not dimmable. And to me, if you're going to have an LED filament bulb that replicates the old world style of incandescent and that nice fiery warm glow, and if it's not dimmable, then why bother? It just doesn't make any sense, unless you just want to have it on and have it clear. It just, to me, it's not quite there. Now, I'm really picky about the look of my LED bulbs or just light bulbs in general, especially if they're going to be exposed. And I just can't go there right now. But I could be wrong, and I could get some, and maybe they're really awesome. So that's a good tip, and I will definitely do a review of one or two of them. And hey, LED light bulb filament or filament LED bulb manufacturers, if you're watching this show and you want me to review your product, get a hold of me and shoot me an email at questions@answers.lighting, and send me the product and I'll take a look at it. So the other half of this is basically that there was some specific brands. They said, I have a couple different LED bulbs from different brands, and they're super efficient, but I'm not an expert, and I've only got Cree, Philips, and Walmart LEDs. I haven't tried the Walmart LEDs, but like everything else at Walmart, they may be kind of low quality, especially on dimmers. Like I said, LED bulbs in general, if you're just turning them on and off, probably going to be okay here in spring of 2015. He talked about a couple Arius Tech bulbs, the filament bulbs. Again, I looked that up, not dimmable. To me, it's really not worth it. Again, it's kind of a non-brand. He also mentions HIT lights. Again, it's kind of a non-brand. I can't say yay or nay to it. I could get some and review it, and we'll see what they're like. But they're from obviously very small or smaller manufacturers that most people have not heard of. They had some decent, good reviews on Amazon, but I just personally, I can't recommend. I can't say yay or nay at this point. If they work for you, then that's great. And let's see, pack lights, plus 40 and plus 60. These are just general LED bulbs. They have a physical looking, array of the fins. That's a lot of the LED bulbs are moving away from the fins now because they've developed newer heatsink technologies to get rid of the heat. It's kind of a funky design still. It seems like 2 years ago, and they are not dimmable either. So to me, that's a product that I wouldn't buy. So there you go. Hope I answered your question. Thank you. And question number 3, a short one this time. Holly Dever, hopefully I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, longtime viewer of the show, thank you so much. She asked a question about one of the lights on my desk, and she thought it was from Ikea, and it's true, a lot of my lamps and different things are from Ikea here in my home. It's great, you can have a lot of variety and check things out and buy things and get rid of them and change things out. So yes, it's true. I use definitely 2 of them, Lykta and Lampan. I would just love to be the person at one of the people at Ikea just make up these names. They're just hilarious. The Lykta are all glass. I don't recommend them for anywhere that you could have them on a counter or somewhere that they could potentially fall off or be tripped on, cords. I think those are just general guidelines, but they're great. I use them on my bedroom nightstand tables and or nightstands, whatever. Anyways, and they also have this. The Lampan is it's like $4 literally, and it's a cheap little plastic lamp. Looks like a little table lamp, kind of shrunk, and it's a really great little lamp, and it has a candle. Both of them, the Lykta, many of the actual table lamps that Ikea sells actually have the little the thinner candelabra base instead of the standard wider screw base for bulbs. So basically you can use smaller LED bulbs in them, and those are some of the ones that you can get online, or perhaps the specialty ones from Lowe's. Or you can get converters. You can buy little adapters online that go from the thinner to the wider. So that's possible. But I use them. I really like them. They come in. They used to come in multiple colors, the Lykta, but the Lampan still comes in a few colors. I don't know that the red one still exists. I bought that one and I use it in my kitchen just for fun. People are like, "Why do you have a red light in your kitchen?" It's like a red light district, but not really, it's just for fun. And I have a white one on my desk. So they're great little lights, and they're super cheap. Hugh Jazz asks a great question about are these, and he's speaking about LEDs, what about the health-wise aspects? Are they healthier than CFL? If we're just gonna talk about the mercury content, and generally that's not a problem unless you break them and you have to clean up that area. And obviously LEDs are better for the environment in terms of they don't have any mercury. They have a lot less hazardous materials in them than compact fluorescents or fluorescent tubes in general. I personally think many times if I walk into a room and there are CFL bulbs in use, I can immediately tell. I have very sensitive vision that I can see flicker very, very easily. And on LED bulbs from several years ago, you could easily see flicker as well, or at least I could. And it is very, it's annoying, it's distracting to the eye, especially if you're trying to concentrate, or if you're just in a room or you're just somewhere and you don't need flickering light around you. Obviously, the CFL industry has improved by quite a bit over the past 10, 20 years that they have been available, but I still think it's time to move on to LED. CFL will still be used just like some incandescents for specialty industries and specialty projects, things like photography, lighting, and so forth. But I think LED has made a lot of strides towards really not having any flicker and the light being really beautiful, very comparable to incandescent. And I never really was able to really truly look at a CFL bulb and an incandescent light bulb and look at them both and say, oh, that's really comparable. I just always saw it as it's just not really, it's not really there. So LED, I think, does really, really well on that. Obviously, like CFL, you can get LEDs in different color temperatures. We have an entire episode on that talks about the health aspects of that, especially at night. And otherwise, I really can't come up with anything. I'm sure I could just make up reasons that you should move to LED, but if you have a lot of CFL bulbs in place right now and you're happy with them, you don't feel like replacing all of them, just go ahead and keep on using what you like, and perhaps if you want to upgrade, just upgrade one at a time. Definitely, the LEDs are better for the environment in terms of they're harder to break because of the casings and the bulb shells and so forth are just different. And it's just a completely different type of light. So I hope that tries to answer your question. In general, I do think they're healthier, if that is a real scientific thing. Okay, and Hewer, or hopefully I'm pronouncing that username correctly, asks another question, and I won't actually say the the swear word on here, but it's basically WTF. He picked up some bulbs, and it says his has it in a small print that says only works with approved dimmers. Fancy way of saying that we can't produce a bulb that works with all dimmers like the other manufacturers. Well, here's a deal on only works with approved dimmers. They just say that to CYA because different dimmers will work better with different LED bulbs. And I mean by that LEDs are electronic components, and so are dimmers. And since they're both not being made by the same company, and the company who makes your light bulb has no idea what kind of dimmer you're going to put it on, they just have to come up with a blanket statement saying, well, we've tested it with these handful of dimmers, and it works, pretty well. Or some of the manufacturers have, white papers and data sheets that say specifically the performance characteristics with different dimmers, and you can really get into very, very detailed information about that. And I've done a lot of reading, and it's taken me a long time to find compatible LED bulbs that really work well on almost any dimmer. But to answer your question, go ahead and try the bulb out with your existing dimmer. It's not going to break it. It's not going to destroy it. It's not going to light on fire, most likely. I'll say that disclaimer, we don't specifically say that, I'm not going to say that any bulb with any dimmer is not going to cause a hazard. If you put a specific bulb that's not dimmable on a dimmer and you dim it and you leave it that way, you're probably going to cause damage to something. So just use common sense. But in reality, it's not going to cause a problem. Your dimming experience is probably just going to be different, and it may not be perfect. So that's where we are in the state of the industry, and I think that's partially why some of the manufacturers are starting to adopt smart bulbs, where the bulb is the dimmer and you're controlling it via some sort of home automation solution. Now, some people don't want that, but when the manufacturer of the dimmer and the manufacturer of the LED bulb are one and the same, they tend to work a lot better because they've tested it in their own labs and you don't have these separate components. So that's where we are. I'm going to do a whole episode on dimming and LED bulbs coming up soon. It's actually already been recorded, and I just need to edit it down and post it. So that's part of the stuff I shot at my previous place. So again, thanks for the great question. Go ahead and try it out and see what your results are, and please let me know, because then I can update information when I put that episode out. And our final question, Robert Bailey talks about the 4-flow bulb that I reviewed in December. Now, I've been really happy with these bulbs, and I've had them in place ever since I purchased them in December, and I've had no loss of light. Obviously, it's only been a few months. No issues with dimmers, no issues with dust, and I do live here in Arizona, and it's dusty here. I haven't had any problems with some sort of fire hazard. And that's what Robert asks is there some sort of fire hazard or a challenge with the LED bulbs that have this vented design? And I have to say, so far in my experience, I would say not. But in general, LEDs, even the LEDs themselves, are running cooler in temperature than the actual incandescent bulb. If you actually put a temperature probe, and there's channels on YouTube that do all kinds of temperature tests and whatnot, and that's not our mission here, not to get uber technical, but there are channels out there that do that. If you compare the actual temperature of a regular bulb, and I think we actually talked about this earlier on in the series, the incandescent bulbs run at a tremendously hot temperature compared to even an LED that is full brightness, and if you put the temperature probe right next to the LED, the difference is still humongous. In my experience with the 4-flow bulbs from Cree, I really have not had any issue with heat at all. In terms of, I can imagine, that you might get dust or some kind of buildup within there. The vents are relatively large to where it's not like a fine little mesh. They're pretty large vent openings. So even if there was dust and you wanted to blow it out with some compressed air or something like that, I don't think there would be a real issue. I guess if they were outside, they would potentially have more of a potential for collecting dust and other debris, maybe even bugs, but then again, LEDs do not attract bugs like the way that incandescent light bulbs do. And I just don't think you're going to run into a problem. So that wraps up the question. Thank you again. I hope I answered your question. And please continue to send them in, whether you want to do that via email at questions@answers.lighting. If you want to comment, if you want to send them through Facebook, we've had some interactions there. So any way that you want to reach us here, that would be fantastic, and that is the mission. Literally, the name of the show is to provide answers to questions on LED lighting and lighting design for your home or for whatever space you're designing, and also for home automation. Home automation is about to get really big this year because of a number of technologies and frameworks and systems that are all coming out, and they're going to bring all these things together. And I'm going to be reviewing some of the better home automation products that should be very useful for you, whether you're an advanced home automation guru or you're just getting started. So it's going to be an exciting year, and we've seen some great things at CES, and obviously we've got more LED light bulbs to review and talk about, and you'll see all of it right here on Lighting Answers. So that about wraps it up. Again, we're going to bounce back and forth every other month between lighting and home automation for these review episodes, and lots of other exciting stuff coming soon. If you do like the show, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. It's very easy. There's a button like right down there, depending on where you're watching, to subscribe, and please like the episode and share with your friends. There's a share button, and send it out on Facebook, your favorite social media. Outside of that, that's it for the episode. I'm Joe DeGanzik. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next time.